8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj, read by Soundhi Thavam. Railway trade unions decide to call off union action. The President calls Russian counterpart seeks credit support to import fuel. The Prime Minister expresses confidence that he could turn around the economy to a better stage in the near future. 13 arrested over unruly conduct at filling station remanded. Health Services Chief warns of COVID-19 re-emergence. Parliamentarian Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca says an all-party government will not be successful. In news overseas, China suspends officials for ignoring alleged baby abduction. And in sports, Wimbledon, Simona Halep beats Amanda Anisimova to reach semi-finals. The Sri Lanka Railways Trade Union have decided to call off their trade union action after discussions with the Minister of Transport this afternoon. Transport Minister Bandula Gunawardena and Railway Trade Union representatives held a discussion today at the Ministry of Highways. After directing his attention to the issues faced by the railway employees, the Transport Minister instructed the Secretary to the Ministry and the General Manager of the Sri Lanka Railways to provide immediate solutions for these issues. The meeting was held to discuss the inability of workers to operate certain trains as employees were unable to report for duty due to the fuel shortage. Several railway stations stopped issuing tickets. The Sri Lanka's railway employees have also complained that they are in dire straits due to the aggressive behaviour of certain commuters. A few incidents of attacks by passengers within the railway stations have also been reported this morning, said Sumedha Somaratna, the president of the Railway Station Masters Association. Moreover, the employees at the Panadura railway station were attacked today, while the railway station masters have decided to refrain from issuing tickets in Fort, Maradana, Panadura, Kollupitiya and the Ragama railway stations. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa sought an offer of credit support from Russian President Vladimir Putin to import fuel to Sri Lanka to ride out the current economic challenges. Taking to his official Twitter account, the head of state said he had a very productive telephone conversation with his Russian counterpart today. The two leaders have unanimously agreed that strengthening bilateral relations in sectors such as tourism, trade and culture is paramount in reinforcing the friendship between the two nations. During their conversation, President Rajapaksa has appealed to President Putin to resume Russian airline Aeroflot's flight operations to Sri Lanka. He also thanked President Putin for the support extended by the Russian government to overcome the challenges Sri Lanka faced in the past. The 13 people who were arrested for their unruly conduct at a filling station in Vellavaya town have been remanded until the 12th of July. A tense situation had ensued as the people who queued up outside the filling station to obtain fuel began to display violent behaviour after it was announced that the pumps have run dry. A group of people had then hurled stones and bottles at the filling station, injuring one police officer who was on duty and damaging the signboard at the filling station. The arrestees were identified as residents of Passara, Athilivava and Vellavaya areas, aged between 18 and 45 years. The police also took 20 motorcycles into custody, along with the 13 suspects who were produced before the Vellavaya Magistrates Court earlier today. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Asela Gunawardena, says the threat of COVID-19 is not completely eliminated yet and that there is a risk of re-emergence of the virus with new variants. Attending a press conference, Dr. Gunawardena pointed out that it is essential to receive all 4 doses of the COVID-19 vaccines. Court, earlier we made a kind request from people to take the booster or the 3rd dose after completing the primary vaccination, and we urged those who obtain the booster dose to get the 4th dose administered, unquote. At present, 97% of people over the age of 20 have successfully completed the primary vaccination. However, only 7.9 million individuals have obtained the first booster dose, the Health Services Chief explained further. An all-party government will not succeed as seniors in political parties will become cabinet ministers in such an eventuality, thus creating divisions, SJB MP Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca told Parliament today. Quote, "It is better if a group who could work in unity takes over the government. If people reject a government, an alternative group in the opposition should form a government. Therefore, such a group should be bold enough to take over," unquote, Fonseca said. 3 amendments were taken up for debate today in Parliament. The revision on the Parliamentary Election Act, Provincial Council Election Act were among them. Speaking at this debate, Parliamentarian Imtiaz Bakir Marcus said the younger generation should be given an opportunity to represent at the provincial and local government bodies in the future. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says he is confident that he could turn around the economy to a better stage in the near future. However, it will take about 18 months for the country to come back to normalcy. The Premier made these remarks at an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera Television. The Premier went on to say, next year will also be a challenging year, but in 2024, Sri Lanka could see a substantial economic growth. The rupee has depreciated around 80% in the recent past. The inflation has also hit all-time high at 60. The purchasing power of the people has deteriorated. However, things could change in times to come, where many fuel ships are expected to reach Sri Lanka and the fertilizer stocks are also expected from India. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight, the dengue fever is on the rise due to the onset of the monsoon rains. The most number of dengue patients have been detected in the Western Province. The Colombo and Gampaha districts have shown many patients being identified in the recent past. The health authorities request the residents of Colombo and the suburbs to keep their home front clean. The schools of the Western Province are also advised to keep the premises clean. The health authorities are expected to make an inspection visit to these sites in the near future, and that came to you in Watchlight. On to a bulletin of world news making headlines tonight. China suspends officials for ignoring alleged baby abduction. Highland Park shooting, suspect charged with murder over 4th July attack. South Africa tavern deaths. Tears for teenagers at mass funeral in East London. China has suspended 2 health officials in a southern county for ignoring the case of a baby boy who was allegedly abducted from his parents by local officials in the 1990s. His parents recently petitioned police in Guangxi province to investigate. But a local health bureau refused to look into the case, saying he'd been taken away due to social reallocation under China's former one-child policy. The case has sparked outrage towards the authorities on social media. A man accused of opening fire on a 4th of July parade near Chicago has been charged with 7 counts of murder, officials say. The 21-year-old would be punished for the killing spree he has unleashed against our community, Lake County State Attorney Eric Reinhardt said. The attack in Highland Park left 7 dead and more than 30 others injured. Wails of grief have filled a mass funeral for teenagers in South Africa who died in mysterious circumstances at a nightclub. 19 empty coffins were laid out before thousands of mourners, including South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa in East London. The children died 10 days ago at Inyobeni Tavern attending a party to celebrate the end of mid-year exams. And back to the headlines of the world news. China suspends officials for ignoring alleged baby abduction. Highland Park shooting, suspect charged with murder over 4th July attack. And South Africa tavern deaths, tears for teenagers at mass funeral in East London. That concludes this bulletin of world news. On to development news. The Helping Hands Project, a 3-year partnership between the American Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka and Habitat for Humanity Sri Lanka, recently completed its first phase with the support of TJ Lanka PLC, our reputed corporate partner. Positively impacting over 3,000 students, the project involved the provision of 3 toilet units each to 3 government schools in Yatiyantota and Dehiobita in the Sabragama province and Homagama in the Western province. The management representatives of TJ Lanka PLC, AmCham Sri Lanka and Habitat Sri Lanka were present at the handover ceremonies, together with the students and faculty members of the respective schools held on June 15th. Several hygiene awareness sessions on a range of topics, from food safety to appropriate sanitation practices, were also conducted by the local public health inspectors and came to you in development news.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
It's tennis news. Former champion Simona Halep's revival continued as she reached the Wimbledon semi-finals with another rapid win over American Amanda Anisimova. Romania's Halep, seeded 16th, was close to quitting the sport last year because of injury, but the 2019 champion is now one more win from another SW19 final. Halep, 30, beat 20th seed Anisimova 6-2, 6-4 in 1 hour and 3 minutes. The two-time Grand Slam champion will play Kazakhstan's Elina Rybakina, who beat Australia's Ajla Tomljakovic. That's sports news. We'll look at business news next.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The globally respected UK magazine The Banker has once again included the Commercial Bank of Ceylon in its prestigious Top 1000 World Banks ranking, making the Commercial Bank the only Sri Lankan bank to be ranked among the elite global giants in banking for 12 consecutive years. This ranking of the global who's who of banking is based primarily on Tier 1 capital, a principal indicator to measure a bank's financial health. That's business news. We look at economic news next.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
On to economic news. A Japanese company is investing $25 million to build an airport transit hotel in Katunayake. This 3-star hotel would be directly managed by a Japanese hotel brand, will consist of 180 rooms, and the construction is in its mid-stages. The project is coordinated by Dr. Ruan Pereira, a well-reputed and established business figure in Japan who has invested in many projects in Sri Lanka. He has invested over $100 million in Sri Lanka. And that's economic news. On to the weather report. The Met Department says that showers will occur at times in the Sabragamo province and in the Nuwara and Kandy districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the western and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the central hills. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. Meanwhile, the international weather forecast website AccuWeather.com reports that the day's weather was cloudy with occasional showers. Today's daytime temperature was observed to be around 29 degrees Celsius. There will be light showers in many places in the Colombo district in the night. Tonight's temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius and there will be scattered showers in selected spots late in the night. The ground temperature would be 28 degrees Celsius at the time of this news broadcast. The air quality index AQI is 26, which is fair conditions in Colombo. The air quality is generally acceptable for most individuals. However, sensitive groups may experience minor to moderate symptoms from long-term exposure. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The railway trade unions decide to call off union action. The president calls Russian counterpart, seeks credit support to import fuel. The Prime Minister expresses confidence that he could turn around the economy to a better stage in the near future. 13 arrested over unruly conduct at filling station remanded. The Health Services Chief warns of a COVID-19 re-emergence. Parliamentarian Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca says an all-party government will not be successful. China suspends officials for ignoring alleged baby abduction. And Wimbledon Simona Halep beats Amanda Anisimova to reach semi-finals. And with that, we conclude tonight's news broadcast.